On today's episode, I replaced my 26-year-old inner and outer tie rods with these brand new Hardrace pieces, thanks to RHD Performance. Alright, so the main reason that I want to change out these inner and outer tie rods is just to freshen up the steering. I don't want any slop in the steering, you know, when you get that little wiggle in the wheel but nothing's happening. I don't need that out on track. And as you guys know, this is a full-on race car, getting ready for these awesome coilovers that I have coming. Cannot even wait to show you those. All right, so as you guys see, this boot has always been torn on the passenger side of the car, and a bunch of dirt and all kinds of whatever is getting up in there and causing that ball joint to fail, essentially. So the last time I brought it into the alignment shop, the guy's like, hey, you know, I can align this thing, but it's not gonna be perfect because of that bit of slop. And also, as you can see here, this ball joint on this outer tie rod is shot. That thing's done. We've moved that a couple times, and yeah, it's just done. So here are the new pieces from Hardrace. Obviously very nice, new looking, new ball joint there. And I have a set for each side, of course. And just to point out real quick, when working with the outer tie rods, you do want to make sure that you have the right side. They are side specific. See the R there on the old piece. There's the R here on the new piece. And of course, I got a new boot for each side as well. Now, like I said, I'm no mechanic, but I've heard that these boots here gain you 5 horsepower each. All right, so here's some of the tools I'm gonna be using today. We've got the inner tie rod puller set right here. This is gonna make it so that you don't have to get under the car. You can just put it in from the outside of the car. You'll see later. We got a standard torque wrench here, half drive. We've got a ball joint puller. We've got the vice grips, various wrenches, and then of course our socket set. And we've also got some anti-seize and thread locker. All right, so on to step 1. We're gonna leave all this connected. We're actually gonna mess with this little nut here first. We need to break this loose so that we can get the outer tie rod off. And to do that, we're gonna be using this adjustable wrench here, and then this guy. Now I think a 19 would be preferred, but I have the 7/8, and it fits around there just fine. Let me tell you something real quick about old cars. Bolts, they don't want to move. 26 years old this piece could be. Again, I don't know if they ever changed it or not, but oh my God. I spent so much time trying to turn this end nut off of the outer tie rod. So I was just putting some normal strength into it yesterday, you know, just leaning my body into it, and things not budging, all right? I'm like, okay, let me try some PB Blaster. I go ahead and put some PB Blaster on it, let it soak for 5 minutes, try it again. No, okay, then I really soak it with PB Blaster, wait like 20 minutes, try again, nothing. Soaked it super hard with PB Blaster and let it sit overnight. Came out this morning, nothing, wouldn't budge. So I'm like, what do you do? This is what I did. Now, agree with this or not, I don't know. You have your own opinion, that's fine. It worked. Let me show you. So this is one of them $15 torches you get from Lowe's or Home Depot. And yeah, you pretty much just go to town on this. Let me move this light here real quick. So you can see in there, that thing is white hot, all right? And I was spraying on the nut, okay? On this nut, but of course you're gonna hit up around here too. All right, but so the point is to get that thing just so hot. I mean, I was literally sitting on it for probably 6-7 minutes, maybe even longer, and you just get it hot. And this little part here started to turn white, and then I just got my wrench on it, my adjustable here, and it just went clunk, popped right over, man, like butter. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Torch. Now we can finally move on to checking our position here. We want to go ahead and check these threads just so that we have a reference for when we put our new pieces together, how far apart these are. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into removing this cotter pin and castle nut. And we'll pop this whole piece out. Alright, so I ended up just using my old pickle fork. This thing was so damaged anyway, and this actually was a great angle to put right in there and smash out. So that's what I did. Obviously, if you want to save yours, you're going to use a ball joint separator to get that out better, but I have new pieces. And where mine was sitting up on here, I counted 13 rings. So 13 of these little threads right here, I'm going to be having between the nut and where the outer tie rod starts. And here are the two pieces for us to compare. Here's the old and busted. You can see the boot all worn there. And then the nice and new Hardrace piece. And you can see right here how I can actually flex this top piece a lot. This ball joint moves around a good amount. And I wonder if that's where my steering play came from. This one here doesn't budge, man. It's gonna take the car's weight to move that. Now moving on, we would be moving to the boot here, and there should have been a little outer clip that holds this boot in place. Mine is missing. As you see, it is totally broken, but yours may have that on there still. Now's the time to go ahead and remove that, and then we're gonna remove this one that's back in there on the inner part of the column that's connecting the boot to the rack. We wanna go ahead and remove that clip. All right, so you saw we popped that clip off, and I go ahead and pull the parts of my boot off here, and now the whole thing is exposed. You can see the rod down in there. All right, look how easy this guy moves. That ain't gonna be the case with the new one. But so anyway, here is the portion of the inner tie rod that we're gonna be working with now, and that's where this tool is going to come in handy. You select the size that is proper to go over top of your tie rod, and you go ahead and slip this part. I'm going to put it under right now just for demonstration purposes and show you how it will lock on here. And then we're going to go ahead and use this tool, pop this in here, then this goes on and you spin it. Let me show you. All right, so here we've got our tie rod end here. Here is the portion we're going to be working with back in there. We got the portion here that goes around the inner tie rod part, and then this shaft here goes through the inner tie rod, connects up, and we're actually going to be able to use this to spin this guy off. Alright, so if you guys can see in there, it broke it free. Just spinning it off, lefty-loosey. And there's the old inner tie rod. Now to explain this a little bit more, I'm sorry, I know it was really weird sitting in there. But this piece right here, which is a 1/5 or a 16, slides over top of this guy here. Sits like that. Then this portion, which has the opening, slides over this, onto this, locking here, and then you use your breaker arm and you give leverage on it and spin it to the left, and boop, it breaks it free. Now you've got the steering rack exposed. All right, so here's the old inner tie rod, and here's the new one. Check out this old one here, how easily I can move this. This new one here, I can't move it by myself. Awesome. All right, so here's everything we're gonna be working with for right now. We're gonna be putting the new inner tie rod back on the steering rack on the passenger side. So here's our old one. I want this here just for illustrative purposes right now. Y'all can see this is the old nut, the one that I had fried on there. And I'm showing you that because here is the new one. Now this is the new one. It is the same size as this old one. So we're gonna have to go ahead and thread this guy up on here just like this, and we'll be able to count our 13 rings, and then we'll know where to thread our new outer tie rod up to. But so also on this, I'm going to be using some anti-seize. That should hopefully prevent me from having to do this kind of craziness in the future with this rod here. Now on the inner portion, you'll notice this one has this gold piece right here that you cannot see here. That is this. And you see how it has these two little prongs right here? Those two little prongs need to lock into this portion right here. That's essentially what that is a lock washer for the inside. But I've also read that using a little bit of this blue thread locker is a good idea. It's not the super permanent stuff, but it will help to lock everything in place, along with this lock washer, of course. And then here we've got the torque wrench. We need to torque this portion here down to the steering rack at 40 foot-pounds. So using the torque wrench and our handy dandy tool here, we're gonna do 40 foot-pounds. All right, so that's the new inner tie rod on, all greased up. We got anti-seize here for our thread. We've got the blue thread locker for the inner part. And we've also got that lock washer up against the steering rack and in between the inner tie rod there. Next thing to do is to put on the new boot, or the inner bellow as it's called. And isn't that cute? They gave me some zip ties to go around. All right, so sorry I didn't show you putting the boot on. It was just kind of a pain in the butt to film and do that. But so I actually had to take this nut off, so I'm just re-threading that back on right now to get the boot over top of that, you know. And then you just kind of push it up in there, push it over the steering rack, and then use the zip tie to tie it down. Easy. All right, so with the nut all the way on there, all the way against the back like it was on our old one, we're gonna take our new outer tie rod. Make sure you are using the proper side, depending on which side you're using. I'm doing the passenger side right now, obviously, so I am using the R, the right, new ball joint, new castle nut, and we got a new cotter pin in there somewhere. So I'm just gonna go ahead and thread this piece on, and then we'll go ahead and check our marks, our 13 thread marks. All right, so we got that guy on, and you'll just have to take my word for it if you can't see that. That is 13 thread marks. So that's close enough. Obviously, you still need to take it to get it aligned. We can go ahead and take this castle nut off here, and then we'll go ahead and put this guy on in its place. All right, so you can see I just went ahead and jacked this guy up to get it to what could be ride height. Then you see down in here, I got the castle nut ready to go on the new outer tie rod. Got that piece right here. You literally just thread it on up, man. All right, so we're just gonna take this nut and thread it to the new outer tie rod here. We're gonna butt those two up together, and then we can go ahead and tighten them down. Now I'm using an adjustable right there. Go ahead and use this other wrench. You're gonna hold the outer tie rod so you can keep that in place while you're tightening down the nut. Then to cap it all off, they give you a zip tie here that you wanna put on the end of this guy. We know we have those coilovers coming, so in terms of alignment, I am not going to be doing that right this second. If this was the only job that you were to be tackling, you'd want to go ahead and get an alignment right after this. But again, I've got awesome coilovers coming. We're doing a lot more work with the suspension still right here. I'm gonna leave this for right here at the end of this episode. Obviously, I still gotta go do the other side, so I've got more work to do, but it's the same exact process as this side, so I'm gonna leave it here. Stay tuned, you guys. We got a lot more cool stuff, man. Like I said, those coilovers are coming. We got the camber kits, the toe kits, possibly gonna be doing wheel bearings up front here. I got a lot of cool stuff. Cannot wait to show you. Thank you so much to RHD Performance for all of these parts and keeping this project moving along. Thank you all so much for watching. Talk to you in the comments.